Welcome to the Farm Stand Kitchen. Today we are working with some spuds, the good old potato. Some of you call them taters, and we do too around here. Potatoes, spuds, whatever you want to say. But this is what we're doing today. We are making a potato soup. I have had so many requests for this. Mine is pretty simple, but you want to know how I do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and show you what we're doing here. So what you're going to need in this pan, what I've done here, I had to do this, a little bit in advance. So this video is not 30 minutes long. So what we had in here, you want to put 4 tablespoons of butter in a pan. This is a 4-quart casserole. You can also use it stovetop, this one. So 4 tablespoons of butter in your pan and let that melt. And then you want to add, I chopped 6 potatoes, and they were about this size, like a medium-sized potato. Doesn't have to be red. It can be a Yukon Gold. It can be a russet. I just like reds, so I used reds today. So I chopped up 6 medium potatoes, peeled, and then I had 3 stalks of celery that was chopped, and then 1 large onion, and I chopped that up too. So I have the butter, 4 tablespoons of butter in here melted. Then I added the potatoes next, the 6 chopped potatoes. And then you want to saute those for about 8 minutes, just the potatoes. And then add the celery and the onion after those sauteed about 8 minutes, add that other, and then saute for another 8 minutes. So you're basically kind of frying the potatoes a little bit. I've always done mine like this. A lot of people put everything in and you just boil it, and that's the way you cook the potatoes. But I kind of like to fry all of my ingredients up. So that's what I've done here. So these are pretty much to the point that this is the way that they should look. And so like 16 minutes total on all this. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add some chicken broth. I put chicken broth in my potato soup. And you're basically going to be adding this one here is a 48 ounce. 5.5 cups, or it's fine if you just add 1 of these 48 ounce. Now I do use the 33% less sodium because I like to add my own salt. These tend to get a little salty if you buy them that are not low sodium, so I kind of like to control that myself. So you need some chicken broth, 48 ounces of chicken broth. And I'm going to add that next here. I'm just going to go ahead and add that right in here. Now, I had a little chicken stock left over from when I made the chicken and dumplings. I had it frozen. So I just went ahead and put that right in here because that was such good broth. And I had a little extra left over, so I froze it. So I have a little bit of homemade stock in here as well. And you could use all homemade stock. I know a lot of you do that and you freeze it, and it's perfectly fine to use that. So then what we have here is our broth in with our potato, celery, onion. And then I'm going to add some seasonings. I'm going to tell you about this. So what we're going to add is a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, and I have about 1.5 teaspoons of fresh thyme, some fresh thyme leaves. And this right here is fresh nutmeg, and I always put a little fresh nutmeg in my potato soup. Now if you don't have fresh, because I know that's a little hard to find for some of you, just use a little pinch of nutmeg. Now you guys know that I always put nutmeg in my cream-based gravies and soups, like the sausage gravy. And a lot of you had messaged me and said, wow, the nutmeg makes so much difference. It complements with all the other flavors, and just a little bit of nutmeg in there, even in this potato soup, is really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and add our spices here. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix those in. I had to get the hot plate out of the teardrop this morning. We keep this hot plate in the teardrop, and it was still in there because we thought maybe we could go teardropping one last time, and we still might because it's supposed to get back up in the 50s, but it's really cold today, and yesterday it was really cold. But I got that out of there this morning, and it was ice cold, and I didn't know if we was going to have a Julia Child moment here when I turned this on, but it seems to be working fine. It was really cold. I think it even had a little ice on it, possibly. Okay, so we've had our chicken broth here. So then you would just want this to come up to a boil, and then you want to simmer this for 15 minutes. So you want to simmer first, and then once you let that simmer for 15 minutes, we're going to add some half and half and a little bit of flour. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So what I have here is 1.5 cups of half and half. And then I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of flour. Now, I'm going to add my nutmeg when I get this in, so don't worry, I'm still going to add it. So I just mixed the flour here with the half and half. Now let's just talk about this a minute. If you like your potato soup more brothy than, thicker, then you could just use a tablespoon of flour in your 1.5 cups of half and half, or you could just completely leave it out. I mean, if you like a really brothy potato soup, don't add it at all. I kind of like to thicken mine just a tad. So I put a little bit in there. So you just mix that up with your half and half. And then you just add this right in. After this would have simmered for 15 minutes, and then you add your half and half and flour mixture, and then you want to simmer that for another 15 minutes, because remember, your flour is raw when we put this flour in here, so you want to cook that. So you want to bring that to a simmer, and you can put a lid on it too if you want, and then let that flour cook and let all those spices do their thing in there. And like I say, mine's pretty simple, but it sure is delicious. And we really like potato soup around here. Now I'm going to add just my little bit of nutmeg. So this is fresh nutmeg, and this is what it looks like. This is fresh nutmeg. Now, and you just use your fine mesh grater for fresh nutmeg. And all you have to do is just put see there, it's going in there. So you just want a little pinch of some fresh nutmeg. And the fresh really has a little punch to it. It's really good. I love it. Oh, whoo, I can smell that. That smells good. Okay, so that's all there is to my potato soup. There's not much to it, but like I say, it is really good. With your good chicken broth and your spices, that little bit of thyme in there, it's a really good soup. I think potato soup is kind of a comfort food. I know it is around here. And you guys have been asking for a lot of soup recipes. So we'll see what we can do about that. See how many we can squeeze in. Okay, so I'm going to scooch this over, and then I'm going to bring the real deal over here. Because I made this one yesterday. And so here it is. So let me just give this a stir here, and you can see what that thickening did for it. So this is the way that it would turn out if you thicken your half and half. Now if you want it more brothy, I wouldn't use as much of that, but I like it just like this. It's not too thick. See, it's still got, plenty of movement in it. It's not like a super thick soup, but this is the way I like it, and it really smells good. Let's get some out. I'm gonna get some out. I think maybe it's getting close to, well, yeah, it's almost lunchtime, Dave. We can have some of this. Okay, so around here it's pretty mandatory you have a little crusty bread with your soup. We like that. Well, actually, we like a lot of it, don't we, Dave?
Yeah.
We like a lot of that. Okay, let me get a little ladle here. Okay. It's going to be nice on this chilly day. Got sun today, though. That's nice. Like the sun. All right. Let me grab a spoon here. Oh, let me grab a spoon. Back. Okay. Here we go. Potato soup. Comfort potato soup. That's perfect. Spices are just right. You can taste a little bit of the nutmeg and the thyme, and boy, is that good. All right, you guys, so I've shared my recipe for potato soup. So give it a try. Let me know how you like it. Have a wonderful day.